In November of 2019, at Automotive Industry Week events in Las Vegas, Nevada, Autel gave attendees a glimpse of the future. Ever since, many have noticed and asked about the banner at the top of the Autel.com webpage that teased them with the performance of the future. Today, Autel is proud to announce the future has arrived. Introducing MaxiSYS Ultra, the newest addition to the heralded MaxiSYS line of diagnostic tools. Ultra takes MaxiSYS to a new level of performance and features. It has a 256 gigabyte solid-state internal drive and an octa-core processor to deliver both speed and memory performance. It now features 2 cameras, front and rear, to help document findings. And it has an 18,000 milliamp hour battery. Ultra's hardware is unmatched in the automotive aftermarket. But it doesn't stop there. To see what other things set Ultra aside from the rest of the industry, we'll go to Chad Schnitz at Autel's Research and Development Facility in Indianapolis. Chad?
Thanks, Mike, and you are correct. The Autel engineering team knocked it out of the park when it comes to the hardware of the MaxiSYS Ultra. We're going to break this down into 3 separate sections. We're going to talk about the docking station, the tablet, and the vcmi. To start with, the docking station. This is going to be your storage location for your MaxiSYS Ultra when you have it on a toolbox or on a tabletop. This is going to optimize the charge for that 18,000 milliamp hour battery. You heard that right, 18,000 milliamp hour battery. That's going to give us a runtime of consistent use of over 8 hours. I've actually been testing this tool for a while, and I've been able to go a week without recharging this tool. The battery lasts that long. This is really going to help us in the shop to be able to optimize our uptime and not have to worry about putting it on the charger all the time. The tablet has a 13-inch screen, which is the largest in the industry, to optimize that viewing area. And there's some software secrets that come along with that extra large screen that we're also going to talk about. The tablet itself does have 3 USB ports on the top, 2 USB ports that are full-size 2.0s, and that gives us the ability to add accessories like the digital inspection camera or to plug in our J2534 device whenever we're doing programming directly from the tablet. We also have our micro SD card to expand the memory. But you heard that right. Mike said 256 gigs of memory already in the tool. So we can use that micro SD card for expanded memory if we want to, or to be able to transfer files off of the tool whenever you desire. Up on top, we also have our HDMI, which I'll be showing you here in a little bit, to be able to plug that into a TV to see it on a larger screen if you want to. Also, I have our charging port up here on the top and our power to be able to turn it on and off. Now, I'm going to bring you in a little bit closer to talk about the vcmi, because this is a powerful little device. The vcmi stands for Vehicle Communication and Measurements Interface. This box has a lot of the protocols for the brand new vehicles, including MegaCAN, including J2534, DOIP, CAN-FD, and much, much more built into this device. So this is going to be our wireless communication between the tablet via Bluetooth or via Wi-Fi. Adding Wi-Fi to the vcmi gives us the ability to provide a fast, strong, and stable connection between the vcmi and the tablet. We also have a 4-channel lab scope built in to the device. So if we flip over here to the end, you'll see that we have 4 BNC connections. This is where we can connect our 4-channel lab scope to the vcmi to communicate with the tool. That communication can be done via the USB or via the wireless Wi-Fi connection directly to the tablet, and that is a huge, huge benefit that you are going to love. Here's our connection for our OBD2 connection. This cable is a special cable that we're going to plug into the car. It is our version 2.0. This gives us the high speed to be able to connect to the car and do all of our topology, which I will touch here in a little bit. We're also going to be able to do our scope directly from the OBD2 port. Oh, I probably wasn't supposed to mention that yet either, but some cool stuff with that. We do have our network connection to be able to connect directly to a vehicle or to our internet connection. And then if we flip over to the top side of the vcmi, we have our power port to be able to charge the vcmi. We have our hook station to be able to hang this directly from the hood of the vehicle if we want to. And then we have our connections for our DVOM. You heard me correct, a digital volt ohm meter built into the vcmi. This gives us the ability to not only measure voltage, but also measure resistance. Now, these ports, these are twofold because we can also export voltage directly from those ports. We can export a voltage, let's say a 5-volt reference. We can push that voltage through a circuit and test it on the other end to make sure that that is a good circuit. We can also use this as a waveform generator. We can generate waveforms to give a known good signal to a sensor to see if the PCM can process that information correctly. A lot of stuff is built into this box. But let's go back to this one. Let's talk about the power port for a second. Why would we need a power port built in to our vcmi? That just doesn't make any sense. Well, it absolutely does, because whenever we power on this box, it can be used independently without an extra power supply. The battery in this maintains the voltage to be able to use your scope wirelessly to the tablet. Think about the wires and cables and everything that go along with a scope. No longer do we have to worry about having a power supply to that box as well. It can actually power itself off of the internal battery. Now, the other big thing to that internal battery is having the ability to maintain voltage. Let's give you an example. Let's say that you are starting a car with a not so good battery. And whenever you start that car with a not so good battery, that voltage is going to drop. And on some tools, you can actually lose communication between the diagnostic tool and the VCI because that voltage drops too low. This gives us the ability to have like an internal capacitor. It will maintain that voltage so we don't lose that signal going to the scan tool. It gives us the ability to see those glitches or issues or crank signal problems when it comes to starting a vehicle at startup and at low battery voltage. Also on the top here, we'll spin back around, you will notice that there is a USB port here. So this USB port is specific to Autel. You have to use the Autel cables for that because we want to make sure that the speed and the stability of that USB cable is strong enough to do the J2534 programming, and we can also use that for connecting directly to the tool and to do updates to the vcmi. So this box is very powerful and it has a lot of functions and features built into it. There's a lot of power packed into this little box, and I can't wait to show you more about what this thing can do. Think about what the engineers of Autel have done. We've really tried to work with the field to put this tool in your hands, to make sure that it fits what you need in your shop and has the capabilities to do what you need to do, especially when it comes to the hardware and the battery life. This is really built around the bigger, stronger, faster mentality to make your job as a technician that much more easy. Mike, back to you.
Thanks, Chad. Ultra, however, is more than a MaxiSYS with a supercharger and big tires added to soup it up. The future, we all know in today's world, means upgrading software, and Ultra delivers here as well. Building on the award-winning MaxiSYS vehicle coverage, Ultra enhances it to another level. Starting with an all-new Android 7.0 operating system, the Ultra continues to deliver surprises. Let's go back to Chad and see what else the future holds.
Absolutely. One of the things we wanted to focus on when developing the MaxiSYS Ultra was speed. Speed of getting you the information that you need to be able to run your business. And that includes identifying cars that are coming into your shop. And we can do that in multiple different ways on the Ultra tool. Now you can see here that I have the screen projected onto this TV here. We're doing that via cast, we're doing that via wirelessly, and you can do the same thing in your shop if you want to, because that's how we roll here at Autel. So we're going to select diagnostics, and we're going to select VID. This is new to the MaxiSYS Ultra tool, and that stands for Vehicle Identification Detection. We're going to select the VID, and that's going to give us 3 separate options: Auto Detect, Manual Input, and Scan VIN and License. Auto Detect is going to be what you're used to. That's mode 9. That's giving us the information the car is providing: year, make, model, engine size, and VIN number. Manual input is to physically type the information into the tablet of the VIN number of the vehicle. And then scan, VIN, and license. This is new, and you're going to love this. This gives us the ability to scan the VIN number and the license plate to input that information into the tablet. So let's see how that works. Let's select Scan and VIN License. You're going to see here on the right side of the screen you have multiple options. The first option down here on the left is going to be to scan the license plate first. So if you already have seen this vehicle and you just want to pull it up in the system and see what you've done in the past, you can go right to the license plate, scan that license plate, and the tool will process that information and give you previous scans. The second one is going to be via text. We can scan the VIN number physically and change the letters and numbers into digital into the tablet so we can read that without having to have a barcode. And that's the third option, which is barcode or QR code. Some of the newer cars have a QR code that we can scan, or we can scan the barcode directly from the door. On this particular vehicle, we're going to go ahead and select text. I'm on a 2015 Chevy Volt, and I'm going to let you watch the process as I go through this. So we're going to take this over to the VIN on the car. If you're in a dark situation, there is a flashlight there at the top right. And you can see it's that fast that it gives us the recognition results from that VIN. We're going to then go here to the back of the car, and we're going to scan the license plate. We're going to take that camera and turn it on, and we're going to hold that down there by the license plate. And there's our license plate. We're going to confirm that, and that is okay. Now, look at the bottom of the screen. You can already see that I have scanned this vehicle before and when I scanned it. This one shows the date and time and how many codes I had the last time I scanned this vehicle. I can actually take that, select it, and see a full health report of this vehicle. But wait, there's more. Look at the top right corner. There is a top 10, and I can get the top 10 codes of scans right there from that. So I can see my total health picture of what I've done to this car before, any codes that have come in before. Think about this. Think about that returning customer that keeps coming back to your shop. And he says, hey, I have a problem. You go out, you scan his license plate with your Ultra tool, and you come back in and say, hey, Mr. Customer, the last time you were here, you had all these codes. And that way you know if the same codes are coming back right away. You didn't have to go to your repair source information. You already had it directly from your Ultra tablet, and that saves time. Let's back right back out of there, and we're going to go ahead and select Diagnose. Now, you see a box optional to enter the mileage on that. I highly recommend it because that would populate in that historical records as well. We're going to select Diagnose, and now we have the option to do a pre-scan or post-scan report from your Ultra device. So if we would want to do that, we can select the repair order number, put that information in, populate our pre-scan, post-scan report, and that is for another time, but that is what the insurance companies love if that's the business that you're in. So we're going to select Standalone Diagnostics, and we're going to select OK. If you want to turn that function off, if you don't do pre-scan, post-scan in your shop, no problem. You have that option as well to turn that off under Settings. Here's the new screen for your MaxiSYS Ultra tool. You're going to have your automatic selection there on the left, manual selection, but you can see we've already read the VIN code, and we did that via the scan, and we're going to select OK. It takes all that information and populates the vehicle information. You can see that this one is coming out to be a 2015 Chevy Volt, and it is trying to pull any other information out of the vehicle that it can, including RPO codes and any other information. So we have all the information we need. We're going to select OK. Now, on the left-hand side of the screen, you're going to see all of our options: auto scan, control unit, hot functions, profile. You're not even paying attention to me. You're looking at the topology on the screen. Yeah, that's new as well. But what is topology? Well, think about this. So before, we had our list function where we listed all the different modules, and we could scan all those different modules and get the information out of those modules and see what kind of codes they had. Well, same idea, but instead, we give you the total picture of what that network looks like. We're going to go ahead and do fault scan so it can go through its process. But think about this. We now know what the network looks like. We know how everything communicates within that network. And now we can see what is working, what is communicating, what is not communicating. And if something's not communicating, is there a module in front of it that is also not communicating? Do we have a communications or a network issue? So as this goes through the process, you're going to see some are turning green. If we look down here at the legend, that means that it passes. You're going to also see that some are turning orange. And if we look down the legend, that means that there's a fault. And we can actually see that on that ECM that there are 3 faults. Well, maybe you can't see that, so let me show you something cool. We can actually pinch and zoom in on all those different modules. So if you wanted to go through and see all those modules and which ones had codes, pinch and zoom. Simple as that. We'll zoom that back out. At the bottom of the screen, you're going to also see the legend. So these are color-coded: blue, orange, purple, and yellow. And it talks about which one is high-speed CAN, which one is low-speed CAN, C CAN, and MS CAN. Now we can identify the network. So if we have a whole section of them dropped off, we say, I already know it's a high-speed CAN, and now we know where to look. And that is the power of topology. So there's lots of information in this screen. But don't forget about the list functions. The list function still has a lot of information in it, because if we select list, we also have all those same modules, but we display the codes and their definition, and if it's a history, passed, failed, all on one screen. You can still print that out by going down to your report icon, and there's much, much more, but I'm going to let Mike tell you about that.
Thanks, Chad. Autel also listened and heard many of your requests. And because of that, we've added intelligent diagnostics to the Ultra. This repair assistance information gives you access to TSBs, relevant repair cases for reference, and guided diagnostic steps, and much more. Chad, can you show us some of these features in the new Ultra?
Okay, so the cat's out of the bag. Intelligent diagnostics. That's where the power of the Ultra lies. And this is going to streamline your repair process in the shop on a day-to-day basis. So we're back on the topology screen, and you can see that we have multiple codes throughout this car. We have codes in the ECM and the hybrid powertrain control module, and the tc-icm. We're going to select tc-icm. When you select that, it's going to give you the definition of what that module is. This is the telematics and communications module. On that module, you're going to see 2 things. You're going to see an arrow, and that's going to take us directly into that module. That's going to take us into our active tests, our special functions, our live data, module information, your normal stuff, the normal stuff that you're used to on your MaxiSYS tool. But if you look next to that, there is an icon with a wrench in it. Let's take you there, because that is your intelligent diagnostics. Intelligent diagnostics is the information you need to know to make the right decision of where to take your repair process next. You'll notice at the top of the screen that we have our telematics code. This is going to be our B101 David, and that has a drop-down menu, so if you have multiple codes, you can select those multiple codes directly from that screen. You'll notice on the left-hand side that you have service bulletins. Yes, we provide the technical service bulletins directly onto the tool. So you can see that there is a TSB for a B101 David. And if we wanted to, we can select onto that, and that takes us directly to that technical service bulletin to give us information about that system. And you can see all the information about the OnStar system and the TSB directly from the tool. So let's back that back out, and you'll see the next box, which is DTC analysis. DTC analysis is going to give us a ton of information about that code. It's going to give us the DTC description, the fault description. What information does it take to set that code? Well, what does that code mean? It's going to give us the condition, what things have to happen for that code to set. It's also going to give us possible causes of why that code would set, and possible solutions of what it's going to take to fix that code. So now we know that there's a TSB on it. We know what it takes to set the code. We also know what it could be a possible cause and possible solutions. So now we can take that information, we can go back to the customer, and we can get more information out of that customer to make sure we're following the right diagnostics path. We'll escape back out of there. And again, I talked about this drop down at the top of the screen. So let's say we drop that down. We want to look at other codes within that system. We can do that as well. We're going to look at the intake air temperature sensor. And you'll notice when we do that, we have the same thing. There's no TSBs for that. There's a DTC analysis. But if we skip down to the bottom of the screen, you'll notice it says component measurement. Well, what's that all about? Well, remember in that hardware section where I talked about there's a scope built into the vcmi? That's what we're talking about. We're going to take you directly from diagnostics right into that component measurement. So let's take that intake air temperature sensor. We're going to jump right into it, and that takes us right into our scope module. If we select this little light bulb here on the side, that's going to give us the preset case. So it's going to tell us about that. It's going to tell us the general purpose of this test is to measure the signal. It's going to tell us what we need in that test kit. It's going to tell us what to pull out of the case to be able to test this. It's going to tell us the important information. We're going to have a picture of here is how you hook it up. It tells us that we have to have a dedicated ground because our 4-channel lap scope is independent grounds, so you have to have a ground on each independent one. It's going to tell us how to hook it up to that sensor. We're going to back out of there. And it's going to show us a picture of how to actually connect it on that vehicle. So it's telling us where exactly to connect that at. And it's going to give us more information. It's going to tell us to start the engine and how to look at the waveform to make sure that we have the right waveform the first time. And that is done in the example. And actually, that example is what automatically popped up on the screen. That is the waveform, a known good waveform for that application directly from the tool. We didn't pull anything extra out. We didn't go grab another tool. Built into your MaxiSYS Ultra tablet. And that is pretty darn cool. So when we're looking at the waveform analysis, it's going to tell us an example. And it's also going to tell us related DTCs. Tons of information built into that box. If we want to see that bigger, we can do that by selecting the arrows, and that's going to take up the full screen, and we can shrink that back down. If we push that little light again, that information will slide back. And then we're ready to test. Now it tells us how to hook it up, tells us what connectors we need, tells us what it's supposed to look like, and you're up and running. So while we're on that subject of a scope, let's talk about the vcmi because you're going to love this. I'm going to back out of the intelligent diagnostics and I am going to escape and go all the way back out of this vehicle. Now from the main screen of your tool, you're going to notice that there's a lot of extra icons. You have diagnostics, which we normally use, the service function, yep, ADAS, yes, you can add ADAS to this tool. Our data manager measurement, that's new. Let's look at that one. If we go into measurement, you're going to see all your different options that have to do with the vcmi and the scope functions built into the tool. The first one is going to be oscilloscope. Just like we showed you in the intelligent diagnostics, it's going to give us information about different systems, how to hook them up, and known good waveforms. And you, as a technician, you can contribute to those known good waveforms as well to increase and build our library. Or you can save your own known good waveforms on the tool to compare later on down the road, or from injector to injector, or from coil to coil. You can do that as well. If we select the car icon up there at the top, you have all your different sensors and combinations and information. So we can test all the different sensors, oxygen sensors, pressure sensors, and more from the oscilloscope portion of the tool. If you look down here at the bottom, you'll see your 4 channels and the automatic settings for those. We'll back out of that. Are you sure you want to exit? Yes, I am, because we can talk about the waveform generator and the multimeter. And I showed you those earlier, the different ports for the DVOM on the back side of the tool. So let's select the multimeter. When we go into multimeter, it's going to tell us the different information about that system. So we can select the different systems. It's going to tell us how to hook up to that system. And we can change our measurements. We can measure voltage, AC, DC. We can measure resistance. And our tablet becomes a ginormous wireless DVOM. If we back out of that screen and go back to our waveform generator, we can use this tool to generate and create waveforms. So let's say we have a sensor that's given us all kinds of troubles and we're not sure if it's the sensor or if it's the wiring. We can push a known good waveform through that system and see what the scan tool gives us back to make sure that it's correct. Make sure that that network is all working the way that it's supposed to. So we give you all the information about how to set that up, how to, the user manual, and how to go through that process to create waveforms. If we collect the files down, you can open waveforms that you have built. You can also see the different options in that waveform generator. That is a game changer. Oh, by the way, did I mention it's wireless? I think I did. I was just checking to see if you were listening. So we're going to go back again. And we're talking about a lot of cool stuff here, but you ain't seen nothing like this. If we select OBD, we are actually changing our vcmi scope to scope the vehicle through the OBD2 port. So right now you can see that we are on the high-speed CAN protocol. We don't, no breakout box needed, no extra wires, no trying to probe into that OBD2 port. We can see exactly what the network is seeing, and we can see if there's communication going on. So right here at the bottom, you're going to see that you have all your different protocols, J1939, high-speed CAN, low-speed CAN. You can change the voltages that you're running in to be able to see all the different options. We're going to select View High-Speed CAN, and we're going to select View Waveform. If we push play, I messed up. And what I did was I have it connected via Bluetooth. So we need to connect this tool via Wi-Fi to run it wirelessly. I'm going to show you how to do that because I messed up. So we're going to go down here to vcmi, and here's your vcmi connection. We want to select connect via Wi-Fi. Do you want to select Wi-Fi connection? Answer to that is yes. Now we're changing our connection from Bluetooth to Wi-Fi, which provides us a stable, fast, and secure connection between your tablet and your vcmi. We're going to go back to our scope functionality. We're going to select high-speed CAN and CAN high-speed. And this is pin 6 down here at the bottom. You can see pin 6, pin 14. We're going to select play. And you can see my high-speed CAN on the Chevy Volt right on the tool. Did I mention it's wireless? Just making sure you're listening. So there's our high-speed network. Let's look at our low speed. Oh, look. CAN high, CAN low. Directly from the OBD2 port. Let's pause that. I want to look at that packet so I can zoom in on it. Let's zoom in on that information. And you can see all the packet information right there on the screen, plain as day, that we have communication, no issues, no glitches, and I didn't plug anything else into it, just using the vcmi. You have your triggers, your indicators, and a huge buffer built into that as well. Pretty cool stuff. So the scope built into the vcmi, gotta love it. Back to you, Mike.
Well, thank you again, Chad. As you can see, MaxiSYS Ultra takes diagnostics to a whole new level, yet retains the latest features of MaxiSYS. You get complete pre- and post-scan reporting with enhanced information insurance companies demand. Autel's ADAS calibration system, its setup and instruction software can easily be added to an Ultra. In short, MaxiSYS Ultra raises what you expect from a diagnostic tool to a whole new height. It frees the technician up to make a more complete and advanced diagnosis with a single device. It offers guidance and planning when you need it, yet lets you dive as deep as you need to pinpoint a vehicle's issues and perform a repair. Contact your local Autel distributor or dealer for more information and look for two other new members to the MaxiSYS family, the MS909 and MS919. MaxiSYS Ultra. The future is today.